Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move out on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em, single bottle, never stop it. To the beast and know 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and
Welcome to Bengals and Brews. I'm Del Luttman, joined by the BSG, Greg Luther. What's up, buddy?
Man, I had to spend all day at work today learning how to putting a shelf together, man. I had my time. I had to put two shelves together. I had to spend my time reading the directions, which is crap, and throwing pieces around. But I got them all put together. That's the good news.
There you go. Yeah, so we hired a linebacker coach, officially hired the D-line coach, which we already knew about, Jerry Montgomery, previously New England, but most of the time before that, 1 year in New England. Before that, like 9 years with Green Bay. Talked about him quite a bit. Linebacker coach is Mike Hodges. Spent the last 8 seasons with New Orleans. Linebacker coach the last 4 or 5 seasons. So I don't know. I don't know a lot about him. He was on stat. He played linebacker at Texas A&M when Bengals head coach Zach Taylor served as an offensive graduate assistant and tight end coach. So there's the Zach Taylor connection. There's always one somewhere with these guys. And it's like that league-wide, so I don't get bent out of shape with that too much.
Well, and to point out something, a lot of people got confused by this. Montgomery got hired as the run game coordinator. Just so all the fans know, it's the defensive run game coordinator. A lot of people got very confused with that. He's not going to be our offensive run game coordinator. He's our defensive run game coordinator also.
Yeah. And Pork Chop is at the hospital, gallbladder removed. That's the Pork Chop update. Wasn't really my place to say, but since Pork Chop's in here and it's already out there, yeah. So Pork Chop had to go last night, had the gallbladder removed today. So our buddy is in the hospital, and everybody's wishing you a speedy recovery. And he's already feeling better. And someone send that man some hookers.
Absolutely. But yeah, we finally hired a linebackers coach. All the whole staff looks like it's coming together. Yeah, Hodges, I looked at him. You know what? Because like you think about it, Zach Bond, when he left, they thought he was a bust, and he goes to the Eagles, becomes great. So somebody was like, well, wait a minute, Zach Bond left, so that's not a good sign right there. And he all of a sudden the Eagles be great. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, how was he used? Was he playing linebacker? Because I know he's still technically a linebacker with the Eagles, but they bring him as a pass rusher. He's a pass rusher. He's an undersized pass rusher. It's something I'd like to see us incorporate more and draft more of, is guys that can get after the quarterback regardless of their size. Mike Green, a guy we've talked about, he came in at 6'3". I think it was 251 or 253. Either way, it's a lot better than he was listed in the summer at 236. So definitely being close to that. Bengals love you to be at least 255. He's damn close to it. And he's flat out can bend for Mike Green. But yeah, I don't have too much thoughts on Mike Hodges in general. He's only 38 years old, so he's still a young guy. Yeah. And let's see what he can do. Al Golden was a good linebackers coach here, so you're honestly getting a guy in a room who's done it. He's coached linebackers, but he's also going to be working with Al Golden, who we have faith in. That's a good D coordinator and a good linebacker coach himself.
Did you watch Golden's press conference at all?
Yeah, I tried to watch some of it. So, I mean, he says all the right things. I just want to see it on the field, right? So he's going to run a base 4-2 defense and then /4-3, but he's willing to mix things up. And I always like to hear, and depends the personnel we have, right? To use the personnel we have better. Somebody was asking about Jim Knowles. I don't have a lot of thoughts about Jim Knowles going to Penn State from Ohio State. Apparently he wanted to chase the bag and get the most money he could. Good luck to him. They play November 1st in the Horseshoe. Should be fun.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, like I say, he says all the right things. You just got to say, hopefully it gets incorporated on the field. Like I say, I'm excited. That's you talked about on the show way before it even started that Al Golden would be a great possibility. So, like I say, he's ready to work. He's happy to be home. I mean, like you say, he's saying all the right things. But we've heard other coaches say all the right things, and that's not happened. So I don't want to get my hopes up too much. But this so far it's off to a good start, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it was time for a change. We retained Burks. We retained Jordan Kovacs at safety coach and Burks at cornerback coach. So there's some continuity on the back end, but then there's obviously a new D coordinator, which it was just time, and that's no hate on Lou, but sometimes, you need a change. You need a new voice. You need to switch things up, and it was time to do that. So, yeah.
I heard, is this true? Al Golden, this was a cool quote by Al Golden. Let's work cooking with hot grease. Did he say that?
I don't know.
I don't know if he did say that, but if he did say that, that'd be a hell of a t-shirt right there, Chop. But
sounds good to me.
By the way, before we get off here, the Ohio State thing headband you're wearing, my brother-in-law pointed his finger at me. He says, I got a bone to pick with you, the Notre Dame fan. You were rooting for Notre Dame the entire time on Twitter, I saw, and all that. Luckily, you and I told my brother this. They confirmed it with him. It was a formality, but my brother-in-law got in my face so badly and all that.
Yeah, he wanted you to root for Ohio State so they could have won because you would have jinxed us. But no, Greg wasn't going to do that to me. So shout out Greg.
He had a bone to pick with me like crazy. I'm like, watch the show, buddy. Watch the show. My brother Dan was like, my brother-in-law's JB, the Notre Dame face, like, JB, he did this as a formality. So the joke is on you.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk some Bengals offensive line and some, free agent options, some draft options. Okay. It's got to start at guard for the options, but we'll just reevaluate everything. I feel good about our starting tackles going into next season. Doesn't mean you can't get some more depth, whether that depth is Cody Ford as a swing tackle / guard. Jackson Kirkland's brought back, who got injured. I liked what I seen from him. He could still earn a roster spot. Devin Cochran showed some flashes, so that's a guy competing for a roster spot as a backup tackle. And then it wouldn't kill me to see Trent Brown brought back. He had a 68.4 run block grade and a 64.2 pass block grade. Got injured early in the season, but, I know he's getting older. But if he wanted to come back on another cheap deal, he's played left and right tackle. Same thoughts I had about bringing him in last year. You can never have enough of those guys. A veteran offensive lineman, I'd be good with bringing him back. But knowing you got the starters and Mims, and even though the grades aren't the greatest for either of these guys, we are a pass block team, so I'll say that. I always say that. Mims had a 52.6 run block grade, so that could improve, but I expect it to improve. He was a rookie, and he's a big son of a bitch. Big, strong guy, and a new O-line coach in Scott Peters should, I think, help develop Mims more than anything. And 60.8 pass block grade. He held up well, and he looked really good. He faced some damn good pass rushers here in the AFC North and in other matchups we had, and I thought he held his own almost every single time.
He shut down TJ Watt, didn't he?
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that when he was matched up with him, he more than held his own. So I'm excited for Mims, his future. Just got to keep him on the field. That's been the biggest thing at Georgia and again this year.
Well, you got to think, man. The Bengals offense, I'm not trying to make any excuses for them at times when they're bad, but you have to go up against Myles Garrett and TJ Watt twice.
Yeah.
People try. A lot of teams would dread that just facing them once every couple of years. So, it's definitely a pass rushing division.
Yeah, and then Orlando Brown, who was also dinged up a lot of the year, but I thought was playing at a Pro Bowl level. He graded out on the year 49.7 run blocks. So once again, that's not great, but 69.5 pass block. For me, honestly, if we get a guy in the 60s, and for Brown, that's basically a 70. So a guy in the 70s pass blocking when we throw the ball as much as we do is a great grade. So I feel good about our left tackle in Orlando Brown.
Absolutely, absolutely. How many years left does he have? Does he have 2 years left?
2 more years left on his deal, so it's not something you're pressed to find his replacement or anything right now. And if somebody falls in the draft that you think can play left guard right away, kick out to tackle a couple years from now, cool. If that's the way it works out in the draft, I'm not opposed to doing that. The other guy I feel good about going into next year is Ted Karras. So the run block grade is only 54.9, so that's also low, kind of like Brown. But you look at the pass blocking, 78. So almost a fucking 80 as a pass blocker this season for Ted Karras. His best year per PFF. And he's good at what he does. We extended him a year for a reason, so we know we got him under contract at least this coming year. And then Matt Lee was a guy who got some snaps. It's really not worth going into his PFF grades. They were good, but he's playing extra tackle. He's not getting a ton of snaps, so it's not really something to bring up. But we liked what we saw from Matt Lee, even in the preseason. So I'm excited I think that's good depth there between those two guys. Now, if you want to get a guy that can play guard and center and come in and compete, hey, more competition, the better. I always say that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Obviously, get Cody Ford back in here who can do that for you. So hey, maybe there's a team making a roster cut or something and all that. That cuts somebody, but I like you said, they normally don't like to pay guards. I hope they finally realize, you know what, we got to break the bank on guard finally.
Yeah. So unless you want to, there's not a ton of time for me. I don't feel like to spend on tackle specifically or center specifically, because that is not really our weakness right now. Like, can you always get a guy there? Sure. I'm not opposed to that, and especially competition or somebody in the draft. But we're talking, that's not somebody we're taking in potentially the top 3 or 4 rounds. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. And then if you bring back a Cody Ford who does have that swing ability to play tackle or guard, I mean, his grades, once again, 49.8 run block, 50.2 pass block. Not great, but we know that this man had to fill in right tackle, right guard, left guard. He can play all 4 of those spots and at least give you some starts. So if you can get him back on a decent deal, I like that. Now, another guy, I assume you bring him back because he's still on his rookie contract, but no way in hell is he my starter next year at left guard. That's Cordell Volson.
Oh, yeah.
65.6 run block grade, so that's good. He's always been a better run blocker, but we throw the ball all the time.
Right.
And his pass block grade was a 49.5. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough to protect Burrow. He's constantly getting the pocket pushback into Burrow. Scares the hell out of me. How pissed off would you be personally, Greg, if they roll out next year and just say, well, we expect a leap from Cordell Volson at left guard and he's your starter?
I mean, 2 years, I just want to be like, look, we'll still keep you on the roster. You'll still be a good depth piece for us. Maybe at a couple goal line situations when you're trying to get a run first down. But I'm sorry, it's just not working out right now. We got to get somebody else in here. I mean, obviously you'll keep him as a depth piece because he's still under contract for his rookie deal. But I'd be like, buddy, you had 2 years, just not working out.
Yeah, people bringing up Risner and a backup center that can play guard well. Industries, I feel like almost anybody that can play center can play guard. And then you're trying to get guys maybe that can go inside. There's going to be some guys, especially Senior Bowl week, practices start tomorrow, that we're going to see playing some center. I'll mention like Joshua Gray, who actually played tackle at Oregon State, opposite of Talisi Fuaga, who was in the draft last year. He played guard this year at Oregon State, and at the Shrine Bowl, he's taking snaps at center. So, there's some guys. I mean, I don't think he's a great player, but there's always some guys like that you can probably get on day 3 that'll give you a lot of swing versatility at different positions.
Yeah. Also, I saw on Facebook, I don't know how true this is, and the Browns would be morons if they did this. Supposedly, they may cut their longtime guard. How do you pronounce it now? His name's Joel
Bitonio.
Bitonio. I mean, he's got connections with the offensive line coach. So I think Bengals fans won't be complaining about that or anything. I know they have some salary cap money, but I can't believe they would do that. But if they cut him, that'd be the first call I make to is him immediately.
So, Derek, we're just now getting into the guards. We kind of went over tackle and center. I feel good about the starters there. We hadn't even got to Kappa yet, but Volson, I said I could see him being on the roster. But I asked Greg, and I'll ask you the same thing. How upset would you be if they roll out Cordell Volson without an injury happen as your starter week 1 next year at left guard?
I don't think he will be. I think it's a 0 chance.
He says, I don't want to talk about it, basically.
No, just because, I see them moving on from Alex Kappa. And they moved on from Volson, in my opinion, with Cody Ford before he had to, relinquish that spot. Yeah. They put Cody Ford back in that spot. So I think at worst, you're going to see a new right guard and potentially a Cody Ford left guard. I think that's the worst case scenario, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm fine with Volson sticking on the roster because, to be a backup guard, maybe. And he's taking snaps at center under Pollock. We never saw it in a game, but we know he was doing that in practice. What's up, buddy? And then, Westish. That's the one I think we're all just kind of waiting on. I think it's a no-brainer. You're going to save whatever we talked about, $6.5 to $8 million, whatever it was. I can't remember from the show we did, but you can always go back and check those out on YouTube.
Like and subscribe while you're at it.
Like and subscribe while you're at it, for sure. But Alex Kappa, 54.9 run block grade. And as I mentioned, we passed the ball a lot. An abysmal 39.7 pass block grade on the season.
Triple frown winner.
Yeah, just triple frown winner. Just not good, man. He's not good. You can save money by cutting him. It's time to move on. There's absolutely no way we can bring Alex Kappa even back on this roster.
It's the argument you would make is who would you cut first, him or Sam Hubbard? That'd be the one argument you would make right there.
And Sheldon Rankins. Who can you get? Whose bags can you pack the quickest?
I would say Sam Hubbard because that boy, he probably don't eat like them other two do. So he ain't got that much in the locker.
There you go. And then free agent guards. Some people think it's a terrible class. I don't think it's that bad. Obviously, anytime you're talking free agency, it's going to come down to the money. So this is a little bit per PFF, a little bit per me. So it's not exactly ranked in one specific order. But the top guy, the kind of consensus out there, and I don't know if he would be the greatest fit for the Bengals, but he'd be a pretty damn good player. But we're not going to pay him this, so it's probably irrelevant. Trey Smith from the Chiefs. He's 25 and a half years old, 67 pass block grade, which, like we say, we'll take that all day, even though that's not phenomenal.
It's average.
It's very good. It'd be very, very good here compared to what we've had.
Yeah.
But a 77.4 run block grade. He may just not be a fit for this team and what we do as an offensive lineman. And he's also projected to get 4 years, $82 million. How much time do you want to spend talking about not getting Trey Smith because he'd be too expensive?
Nope. I've always said, the Bengals pay guards, so why not, right?
Yeah, they're always a big team that just spends and splurges on a good guard.
Yeah.
So we're not going to spend time really talking about Trey Smith, but we'll mention the name, right? Maybe hell will freeze over and we'll bring him in.
Yeah.
The number 2 guy per PFF, it's a little tough in general because he only played in 5 games before having a leg injury. But it's Will Fries out of Indianapolis. He's almost 27 years old, but he's played his best. He's improved every year. I was looking at like 3 years in a row. He's just gotten better, better, and better. This year he had a 74.9 pass block grade and 84.9 run block grade.
Oh,
I mean, just elite as it gets. The year before was 65.4. He played the whole season, pass block grade. So we'd take a 65, like I said, but he got a lot better. And the year before he was in the 50s. So it's like what we would have hoped to see from a Volson.
Right.
Getting better each year instead of just flatline.
That dude's going to get that dude's going to get a bag, though.
Well, projected is much less. So I told you Trey Smith, $82 million. His projection is 4 years, $57 million.
Oh, that's not terrible, but I still can't see the Bengals paying that. But.
Yeah, it's under 15 per, and that would be out of what we expect the Bengals to do. But maybe it even comes down a little less because of the injury, or you put in some injury protection. I don't know. But it is his opportunity to get a bag. Somebody I think still pays him because, like we said, the trajectory of his career is going up and up.
Yeah.
So I like the guy. If we got him, I'd be excited. It's certainly more realistic, I think, than Trey Smith, just based on a projected valuation that is out there per PFF. Spotrac, I don't think had anything on him, but there's different sites, and there'll be more and more of these. So that's the number 2 guy on the list. Maybe out of our price range, but hey, I'd make a call. Try to bring him in for a visit because he's definitely a talented guy and can fix a lot of our problems at guard. And like I said, these aren't necessarily in order, but somewhat. Tevin Jenkins, also about to turn 27. Prollin's been staying on the field with injuries. 75.8 pass block grade, 74.3 run block. So you're talking just good at both this year. Really, really a good season for the Bears. And they moved him around a lot and kind of stunted his growth. He's played tackle, he's played guard. Now he's finally stuck at guard, had a great season playing guard, and his projected value is 3 years, $40 million. So it's a little less than, and maybe he gets more. This is just a projection too, right? You're going to see guys that get way more. You're going to see some guys that get way less. You just never know. I think he's the guy that could be in line to get more than the projection here. But at the same point in time, if it's 3 years, $40 million, I think I'd roll the dice, man. Let's go get a guy we should have got in the first place before we took Jackson Carman.
How pissed off were you guys when we traded back and like Jenkins was sitting right there?
And I like Sam Cosmi from Texas. He got injured for the Commanders in the playoffs, but he just got a huge contract extension. Like, I don't even remember, 4 years, 70-some million or something crazy.
Right. The guy I wanted, he's also a free agent. North Dakota State, Dylan Raduts is his name.
Yeah, I think I seen him on the free agent list. He is not on my list. I don't know if he didn't play last year, if he didn't have enough snaps. And there's a few guys I still looked up anyways that I know had injuries. But so that's kind of next on the list is one that people are already mentioning, and Will brings him up here. So he's next on my list at least because he's been on my list for a few years, basically. This will be the third year. And that's Dalton Risner. Has been with the Vikings the last couple of years. Before that, was drafted with the Broncos. Another guy who was like right there around our second-round pick, actually went one pick ahead of us. Then we traded with the Broncos, who came up and took Drew Lock with that pick with us. So Dalton Risner was another guy that year I was hoping we could have picked up. He's almost 30. We know how the Bengals feel about guys that are almost 30. He's 29 and a half. But this year, 76.1 pass block grade. He was had for like $2 million. What are we doing? That drives me crazy. His run block grade of 58.8, not great. But once again, Orlando Brown had a 49.7. Just say, like, we passed the shit out of the ball. Give me a guy that can pass protect. Dalton Risner can do that.
Yep.
So what would be you guys' thoughts on Freeze, on Jenkins, and Risner? There's no projected value because Lord knows, you know what I mean? The last couple of years, for whatever reason, he's not getting signed in the first.
I'll make this very simple. Anybody but Kappa. I'll take any of those. I'll take any of those players you just named. I mean, you got to make a splash by signing one of those guys. I mean, you just have to.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been kind of in the whole, and we're going to do the whole freaking. What was it a couple years back? Chase Young, or not Chase Young, but Jamar Chase versus Penei Sewell. I feel like we're going to do that this year. It's going to be D tackle versus interior O line, and I've been kind of on the interior O line boat for the first round pick, just because I want the protection for Burrow. So if you're telling me one of these guys is going to come in and be not elite, but just freaking settle that room down, sign me up all day long.
To me, when you're picking at 17 instead of 5.
Yeah.
At 5, you can say, okay, it might be down between these 2 or 3 guys. At 17, You got no fucking clue who it's going to be down between.
Mm-hmm.
So I say when you're picking at 17, you do have to go, it's always going to be a little bit for need. But if you got a guy at defensive tackle that is better than anybody you got at guard on the board, or vice versa, let's say it's Tyler Booker at guard from Bama, and he's the best guy on your board. You're down to D tackle 3 or 4, and you don't love him. Then take Tyler Booker.
Yeah.
But when you're picking at 17, I'm more like,
right.
Get the best player at one of those needs, or an edge, because I think we could use all of those spots, a corner, a safety. I wouldn't rule any of that out. People don't want to hear linebacker because I don't think there's any good enough, personally, but Ja Campbell, Jalen Walker, they're going to be talked about.
Well, I'll say this. I can't remember the last time we drafted an interior defensive lineman. I mean, we did draft a guard, Kevin Zeitler. So it sounds like, as of right now, based on the history, we have a better chance of going interior line than defensive line. Now, you have drafted a bunch of pass rushers, quite a few pass rushers over the year in the first round. But I'm just saying, it would not surprise me if we took guard over interior defensive linemen.
If we're going by history, we're just going to take a fucking receiver and let Stevens walk. You know
you're right.
Yeah.
You just never know. I mean, you don't. Or a corner, right? We take corners.
Yeah.
There was a while we were taking a corner every year.
Well, Dale, I'm shying away from corner because after all the corners you told me they're supposed to go in the first round, even the Notre Dame corner now can be heavily considered, but you told me that they all got injury issues.
Yeah, hip injury. Yeah. And Jade Albaron might be in that conversation, but some people see him as a slot. Some people see him as a safety. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like Dax Hill to me. We already got Dax Hill. We got Dax Hill at home.
And guys, if you haven't had a chance, I listened to it today. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to you guys' conversation you had with Divine on Friday, Go back and listen to that because that was some top-notch insight between the two draft guys and then Dale or Greg and Chop.
Yeah.
But
The two draft guys and then Dell and Divine.
Yeah.
yeah. But no, I just my thoughts like it's and I know it's really hard and I'm going to be disappointed. I feel like I'm really going to be disappointed on this. But it's really hard for me
Happened to
not to
Derek.
say I want that
Derek's a black screen. Go ahead though.
Uh-oh.
Am I back?
Can't
Am I
hear
back
you.
yet?
Yeah, you're back.
I don't know.
Yep, you're good.
My phone overheated or some shit. You can hear me now? Okay. No, I'm falling in love with this freaking Texas tackle. His name's escaping me right now.
The offensive tackle, Kelvin Banks.
Yeah, Kelvin Banks. Yeah, and I know I'm going to be disappointed because he'll probably test really well and end up going higher. But like this dude, this guy is just screaming like Bengal pick for me. You know, a
Well,
tackle that doesn't really look like a tackle, and then they sign this guy and they move him in a guard, and I just feel like he could play really well at guard.
You know what could knock him down too is that Armand Membao out of Missouri, who we've talked about, and he's listed as a guard in my rankings, my number one guard right now. But he measured today at the Senior Bowl, and he's 6'3 plus. He's basically 6'4 because I always just round it up if they're at a half. So he's 6'4, and he was like 332, and his arm length I think was around like 34 inches. I think I got it here somewhere, but. You know, I'm thinking, he's going to kick into guard just because his height. But then you see the freaking arm length and being like 332 instead of he was listed at like 315 or something. Let me see if I can find his arm length real quick. Yeah, 34-inch arms. You know, because you think 30, you want higher than 32 and a half, somewhere in that range for them to stick at tackle. Kid's got 34, and he's 20 years old. So what could make Banks fall is this kid I keep seeing going up and up and up. So he could make Banks fall because you got Will Campbell, this kid, maybe even Simmons, depending how his health is from Ohio State. And then Banks could be the guy that's fallen to that 17 range. And I wouldn't be opposed to it either, Derek. But we'll stick with. I want to get to KP.
Stick with
free agency for now.
Free agencies.
KP, appreciate the $1.99 super chat. KP from KC, sure he's as annoyed as I am with all these Kansas City fans, especially being there. If they let Higgins walk, that's similar to Barkley. Yeah, they can't let Higgins walk at this point.
No,
they just can't. Yeah. They just
for
can't.
Free agent, for everybody projecting him to go to the Chargers, quit wasting. You're just wasting your time. Just stop it. We're not looking at walk.
Well, I mean, we've done some crazy things, but this one would really set this fan base off at a pivotal time, I think. And Joe Burrow. First off, who gives a shit about us as fans? You piss off Joe Burrow in that front office, you're done. You're done.
Yep.
So, all right, we'll get back to some more of these free agent names. Just touch on some of them because I do think this is a position we need two of them. So I think this more than any position I could say, I'll be shocked if we don't have a new free agent guard.
Yeah.
Like week one, we better sign at minimum one and not Cody Ford. Cody Ford can be back and another one.
And draft one in the third or fourth round where that's been the hot spot for guards.
I mean, they could bring in Ford and two more guards in free agency. And I'll be like, cool, I'm not mad at that. Whatever you want to do, invest in the position. But if they don't sign anybody but Cody Ford, I'm going to be like, hell no. What are we doing?
Right.
Yep.
Like if we're a week into free agency and we haven't signed a guard and all these names that we're mentioning are off the board, I'm going to be pissed. I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be pissed if that happens because there's no excuse for that to happen. Next guy on the list, Mekhi Becton. Could have had him last year. Playing for a Super Bowl this year. Not even 26 years old. You know, who would have thought move him into guard? I don't know. It makes sense. 61.9 pass block, so he's not dominant in that area, but a 71.9 run block and the age and his first year playing guard. He's only going to get better doing it. His projected value now is 3 years, $27 million. So that's $9 per. It's not crazy. I'd at least be tempted, but You know, it depends what Scott Peters likes. I kind of hope he doesn't want just ginormous dudes.
Right.
You know, we've already got that at tackle. I don't think you have to have that. You know, Kappa was 6'6", Volson's like 6'7". I don't think we have to have that.
Well, look at the great Zach Martin, dude for the Colts. They're both like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, Quentin Nelson. We try to convert these big 6'8" guys into guards. The top guards you see are like in the 6'3" to 6'5" range.
Yeah. And you know, they always say, like, take a look at the teams that are in the Super Bowl and imitate them. Well, this guy is playing in the Super Bowl, so why not go after him?
Well, if you want to imitate the Eagles, you know what they do? Pass rush and offensive linemen. It's clear as day. And that is their strength, too. Like, hell yes, I want to emulate them. And honestly, the Chiefs do a lot of that, too. They spend a lot of draft. They don't always hit, but Karlaftis, they drafted another kid with a long name. Somebody will probably know it in the chat. Yeah, I don't know how much, but they got just a ton of guys, you know. Chris Jones was a second-round pick. They've invested bringing him back. And then their offensive line, they haven't quite figured out tackle, but they certainly invested at guard, bringing in Joe Tooney, drafting Creed Humphrey, drafting Trey Smith. They've invested, and they invest in spending money on these guys. So, I think it's very clear. Trenches. You need some trenches. Let's get to trenches. Next guy on the list, familiar name. Don't even know if he'll play next year because he's almost 35, Kevin Zeitler. His grades this year was a 71.8 pass block. It's like, damn, that's really good. Then you look at his run blocking, it was an 87.2. Like, is this guy
There's no
wonder?
way in hell this guy don't play again next year. Like, he's still at the top in his prime. He's Andrew Whitworth at guard.
Yeah, he's in the top 3, I think, for his overall PFF grade in the entire league for guard.
Yeah.
At almost 35.
There's no way in hell you don't give this guy a call and say, hey, finish out where you started.
As I keep saying, we had a shot 2 years ago. He literally he wanted to come back here. He loved the city, but we lowballed him by a couple million. That was our Super Bowl year. It's just like, come on, by a couple million, you would not have gotten him back. And like you guys are saying, still playing a high level. I would give him a 3-year deal right now. I know that's crazy, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah, and would he go back to Cincinnati? No clue, but I mean, he might want to
finish
where he started.
When I was told he loved it here, him and his wife loved it here and wanted to come back so badly.
Yeah, and Ryan says his wife says, can't wait to see what year 14 holds. In other words, he's playing.
Yeah.
You know, he'll be back. And I imagine Detroit will want to bring him back.
Oh, yeah.
Know? But they've got a lot of money tied up in a lot of places and still some more to go. So we'll see. Yeah. Maybe you can nab him. He's only projected 1 year, $6.25 million. I'd sign it. I'd call him right now and say sign.
Yeah. Bingo.
Another older guy. And these ones get tough. These next couple on this list. So you already see it does take a dip. Brandon Scherf, 33, but his pass block grade was still 74.5 this year, and a 57.3 run block grade. Projected 1 year, $6 million. The other guy is Zach Martin. I'll just lump these guys together. 34 years old. Don't know if he plans on playing. His numbers were definitely down. 62 pass block, 63.3 run block, and he did get injured this season. Projected at 1 year, $7 million. Scherf stayed healthy the last 3 years after dealing with injuries before he signed with the Jaguars. So.
I was going to say, Scherf, I'll take Scherf still playing at a high level, been consistent for years. That's like another Kevin Zeitler right there, pretty much.
Yeah, I would certainly be interested on a 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sign Kevin on a 2 to 3 year deal, and then you sign Scherf on a 1 year, and boom, Super Bowl.
Yep.
And Zach Martin, I don't know. I mean, I like the idea of Scherf and Zeitler. Zach Martin, I just don't know. Does seem like he maybe going downhill. You know, it's different when a guy's playing at a high level. Another guy I want to mention is James Daniels, because he was playing pretty well the last couple of years for the Steelers. Young guy that a lot of people thought we might draft when we took Billy Price after Frank Ragnow was on the board. Was with the Bears, now the Steelers. Still only 27 years old. He got injured in week 4. He tore his ACL, so that's always frightening. Projected maybe he just gets a 1 year, like $5.5 million deal because of that. But he had early in the season, he was playing real well for them. 66.5 pass block grade, 92.5 run block grade. Maybe another one-year guy, but this guy's 27. That might be somebody the Bengals would be more comfortable with than these guys in their 30s. I could see this being a guy that they target. And you want a guy with some center versatility? He came in as a center. Any thoughts on James Daniels, guys?
Yeah, James Daniels. So, Dale, were you Billy? I wanted James Daniels over Billy Price. I mean, Lapham even said, I remember Lapham specifically saying, yes, Billy Price is ready now, but James Daniels, in 3 years, he'll be like one of the top guards or centers in the league. And I'm like, oh my, I wanted him. Frank Ragnow was my first pick, but so with the Lions did. But I was really high on James Daniels.
I'll be the first to admit it, dude. I was stoked when they picked Billy Price. I mean, he was a Remington Award winner. He, of course, came from the best school in college football, the Ohio State, the national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes. But that
team looking for a defense coordinator. Oh,
yeah. Oh, fucking yeah. What's with that shit, man?
See, there you go.
Gosh,
got back to
you just got come on, man. I don't know what the hell. Like Purdue, or no, not Purdue, Penn State. Like, come on. Like I don't. There, you can't tell me Ohio State wouldn't have matched that offer.
He's lives closer to there, and apparently the Ohio State was going to make him the highest paid defense coordinator, but wasn't going to match the 3.1 that he got. Notre Dame and Oklahoma was even offering him 3. Ohio State was a little under both of those as well, apparently. I don't know. Okay, that's just a rumor. Who knows?
Maybe it was $2 million difference then.
He was going to get he was still going to get like 2.8 or something, something crazy. It was definitely going to still make him the highest paid D coordinator.
Well, I'm sure nobody's going to want to go to Ohio State. I'm sure they don't have guys. I'm sure they don't have people calling them right now.
Well, they might just promote the safeties coach, is what it sounds like. I heard Jim Leonard staying with the Broncos because I was like, damn it, give me him. I wanted him with the Bengals. I'd definitely take him with the Buckeyes, where he coached top 5 defenses at Wisconsin.
Yeah, I messaged Dale that, and I'm like, Dale, you weren't too happy when I messaged that to you.
No, that was disappointing. Next guy on this list, no one talks about this guy. Don't really see him brought up with the guards because he has played tackle, but he played guard this year for the Ravens. Patrick McCarry. He's still only 27 years old. 71.6 pass block grade.
Whoa.
59. Oh, I got Greg in his chair moving around. 59 run block grade, so not great, but the pass block pretty damn good. Lamar moves around a lot. He's played right tackle in the first couple games of the season and other years, but then he slid in at left guard, no problem the rest of the season for them. Well, so there's your left guard. 3 years, $20 million projection. Sign it.
Dude, that fits the Bengals mold right there. They like to get guys that are still young, still kind of coming into their prime. That is a Bengal right there, big time.
And they love taking from division rivals.
Yes.
So I would be good with Patrick McCarry. Name to keep in mind that I haven't seen people floating that one out like a lot of these other names. So one for everybody to keep in mind, and one that our buddy Will mentioned. I believe it was Will with the same name, Will Hernandez. He's 29 years old. Played with Arizona. Also had a knee injury week 5. Only projected to get 2 years, $9.5 million. So fairly cheap, but a 74.2 pass block grade and a 66 run block grade. Will Hernandez could be a sneaky, low-key signing.
I was so high on Hernandez coming out of UTEP. I wanted him so badly. Were you high on him, Dale, coming into the draft?
Yeah, I remember liking him maybe as like a second, third-round guy, it seems like. It's been a while now. But, I mean, I'd have to go back and look. I still got all that stuff somewhere. But, yeah, I remember the name, and I remember liking him.
Yeah, no, I was I was a huge fan of Hernandez going into the draft. So it's nice to see that he's still playing well. Yeah, so it sounds like we have some options. I don't even care if it's a 1-year deal for the older guys. Just get me someone that can block right now for other than Kappa. No offense, and Kappa, no offense, you were a great lineman for us 2 years ago. This year, I don't know what to say. I mean, but just give me, even if it's a 1-year rental player.
Yeah, and Evan Brown, I did see brought up. I can't remember if that was Cincy Jungle or someone had an article on Evan Brown. I believe he might have been here for like a cup of tea in camp. Can play center and guard, so if you want a guy that can do that, but he slid in and played guard this season. Still only 28 years old, 73.5 pass block grade, 58.7 run block. So another guy that can pass block. I mean, here's another option, not opposed to it. Laken Tomlinson, he's going to be 33 years old. Liked him coming out, but once again, he is getting a little long in the tooth. 65.1 pass block grade, 59.7 run block grade this year. Not bad. Aaron Banks, 27 years old, played with San Francisco this season. Was like a second-round pick coming out. 60.5 pass block and a 68.9 run block. So he's a better run blocker. His projection's actually 3 years, $25 million. It's $5 million more for the life of the contract than a guy like Patrick McCarry. Give me McCarry personally.
Dale, I'm on the.
Yeah.
I'm on the. I'll be drinking Bacardi when we get him.
Bacardi. And then I'll just mention one last name here. 29 years old, played center this year for the Panthers before he also got injured. Week 5 was a bad season for linemen. A bunch of these guys got injured week 4 or 5.
Mhm.
He had a torn bicep, but before that he was playing well. 29 years old, has played guard, was another fairly high draft pick if I remember. 66.8 pass block and 59.3 run block. So that's one last name I'll mention here. So that's 15 guys I went through that are free agents that could probably come in and at least give you some starts if needed for some of those. But a lot of those guys would come in as day one starters and be easily upgrades. And most guys would be upgrades over the shit we dealt with this year.
Yep. I agree.
So Greg's all in on McCarry.
I'm all
Derek,
in on this guy.
if you got one guy on this list, Derek, to bring in that we went through, who would it be?
If I could only pick one guy.
Yeah, one guy to bring in as a free agent. And you say, okay, that guy's going to come in and start. And we're ruling out Trey Smith because we already ruled him out.
Right.
Yeah. I'd probably be on the McCarry train as well. I was about to say Zeitler. Just because the nostalgia of just having that guy back. But honestly,
35 versus 27.
Yeah, you got the age difference. You got honestly, if I was a betting man, which I don't like to bet a whole lot, but I would say he probably goes back to Detroit.
Yeah. I think for me, it'd probably be Tevin Jenkins, but I'd like Fries. I'd like Risner. I'd like Scherf. I'd like Zeitler. I'd like James Daniels. I'd like Will Hernandez. I'd like Patrick McCarry.
My second choice would be Will Hernandez, just because 2 years, $9 million. I mean, his pass blocking grade, he's 29. That's not old or anything. And his pass blocking grade, you said, was 74.
For who?
Will Hernandez.
74.2.
Dude, I mean, 2 years, $9 million. Sign me up for that shit right there.
Yeah, and I do believe, Banks is from Notre Dame. Will
one
guy I don't want on here is Liam Eichenberg. He's only 27, but 49.7 pass block, 58.7 run block. Let's not do this. Let's not.
I wanted Liam Eichenberg so bad. No, I will deal Raiders, but Liam Eichenberg, I'm so glad the Bengals did not listen to me on that one. I was very high on him because Notre Dame has a great reputation with offensive linemen, but what Eichenberg, man, didn't he just do? They had
wasn't he drafted by the Raiders?
Dolphins, I believe.
Dolphins, that's right.
Dolphins, that's right.
Who was the guy that the Raiders drafted a while back? And
the kid from Alabama. I know exactly what you're talking about. Him. I wanted him in the second round, and they overpicked him. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's tackled in a guard. He's still kind of bounced around here and there. A couple times I've seen him pop up, but I don't even know if he's in the league.
Yeah. But what's Kappa's age? I don't know if you have that pulled up.
He's probably 31, 32.
But
might be about 32.
Leatherwood.
Yeah, Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah.
Alex Leatherwood. Yep. But the one thing that has me worried more than anything about Alex Kappa is he is a Joe Burrow guy. Like, I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the Hard Knocks at all, but it's like I felt like anytime you've seen Burrow on Hard Knocks, you saw him talking to Kappa, and that worries me a lot because we said Burrow's voice pulls a lot of weight in this. We'll see if that happens with Higgins. I don't know, but I could see him saying, "No, I want Kappa back. He just had a down year, and he'll improve next year."
You better not. We can talk some guards that are going to be in the draft. Minbow, I already kind of talked about. I think he could end up playing tackle. I think he's going top 15 the way things are trending either way. So, and then Tyler Booker's the other guy, man. He's like 6'5", 335, something like that. Just a big, nasty son of a bitch that you'd like to have on your line. Has played left guard there at Alabama mainly. Did kick out and play some tackle for a game in a pinch this season when they needed him to. So I know Bengals like versatility. Hell, all teams like versatility on the offensive line because you always got a lot of injuries. So Tyler Booker is a guy that I could see being in play at pick 17 for the Bengals if they do decide to go true guard. I don't know if they would or they wouldn't, but I think Daniel Jeremiah had a mock the other day, and shit, I think he had him going fucking top 15, so he might not even be there.
How do you feel about what's your thoughts on Matt Lee?
I think he's a good player to have. We just need to see more of him, right? We need to see him in preseason.
Yeah.
We need to see how he does another season. But he looked good in this year's preseason. I think he's a center. I'd like to see him start getting some snaps at guard. I would have liked to see him at the end of the year play guard, so we could have seen what he could have done in some game action. Personally,
yeah, I just keep thinking they're talking about everybody's favorite. I keep laughing because Dale, you were talking about Jake Lisco saying he loves
Peters.
He loves this guy. He loves Peters. Yeah.
Golden.
And but yeah, I love Peters too. Just putting that out there.
Hey Derek,
But
I forgot to ask. I asked Dale this. I'll ask you this. Did you watch Golden's press conference today?
yeah, well, I watched like a little snippet of it. I didn't get to watch all of it, but no, I was just thinking like a guy like Matt Lee getting to work with Peters, getting to work with. See, I'm going to laugh every time we talk about this guy now. I can't help it. Matt Lee is working with Peters. You heard it here first. But I feel like this guy can train him up, and he could potentially be one of our starting guard spots.
And like Will said, he don't think he'll let him play that just because, if Karras does get hurt and Karras is a little older, they know what they have in him. But they let him come in and play, and you could get hurt on any play. So they let him come in and play as the extra lineman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, technically you could get hurt there too. But maybe they do try to find a guy that has some center guard versatility so they can, move guys around more. And maybe that will be Peter's philosophy more, is to have guys with more versatility, and especially at center, because beyond Karras and beyond Lee, is there anybody that we would feel comfortable taking any snaps at center? On
you know what else has versatility? Yeah. Midwest Best Barbecue. That's what has versatility. It's got wings. It's got pulled pork sandwiches. It's got pork rinds. It's got mac and cheese. It's got salads. It's got wraps. You want to talk versatility? That's versatility. By the way, also, they just mentioned they're coming out with waffle fries and onion rings, which I've had the pleasure of trying one time with, which is very good. That's versatility. Also, along with Chop Shop. You want to talk versatility with shirts? There's like pages and pages of shirts. Two good versatilities right there. Proud sponsor to our show.
Two good versatilities. Speaking of versatility, also to get back to football, Donovan Jackson showed some great versatility for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Left guard was going to be, a day 2 guard, most likely, second, third round. Kicks out, plays left tackle, rough go of it against Abdul Carter in his first start. Abdul Carter gives everyone a rough time that he's going against. He's a damn good player. It's the reason he's number one on my overall big board. But Donovan Jackson, after that, just got better and better and better. And by the time the playoffs rolled around, he was an absolute dog at left tackle.
Yeah, he was.
And that kind of versatility should definitely earn him some money. And I could see him sliding into the back end of the first. I don't think he necessarily would be in play at pick 17. But if the Bengals decided to trade down to mid-20s or something, maybe they go with a Donovan Jackson. Maybe they play him at left guard, knowing in 2 years he's learning behind Orlando Brown for 2 seasons, and he's going to play left tackle. Not going to rule him out as a sneaky option for the Bengals specifically. But either way, I think he's earned himself and made himself a lot of money moving out to left guard or left tackle. Derek, any thoughts on that while I go check on my dog, you and Greg, on Donovan Jackson?
Yeah, I was like you said, Dale. I was really, really bummed to see how he played like his first start, and I was like, man, this is going to be a rough year. But he kind of settled in and played phenomenally there to end the year. So I would 100% be okay with this pick.
Would you like a, all right? So you said the Texas offensive lineman is your favorite. Is he number 2 right behind him, pretty much?
Um, I'll have to do some more research. When we're talking tackles, I,
Mhm.
he's not my favorite tackle, but I definitely like both of those guys.
Gotcha.
I like the fit for the Bengals for these guys too. Like they'll like we all talk versatility. You know, you want somebody because obviously they're not going to come in and play left tackle right away. So you want that versatility to be able to slide in the guard and get those snaps needed to get familiarized with the NFL. And then once Orlando decides to hang him up, because I think he might be a lifer for the Bengals, honestly. So once
How many
Orlando
years?
decides to hang him up, come in and take over that spot.
How many years could you see? I think Orlando. I mean, I could see him easily playing for. I know we haven't signed for 2 more years. I could easily see him playing for at least another 4 more years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had would you say he had his best year of his career this year? Because I think he
Absolutely,
played really well in
absolutely.
pass pro.
You know, it's funny now you think about it because we and they were just talking. I forget if you were on or not. Teddy Karras had his best year. You know, Landon Brown had his
Yep.
best year. Go figure. We get rid of Frank Paul and Mims had a great year as a rookie. Our guards were our only 2 problems. And go figure. We get rid of Frank Pollock and all that and stuff. This was probably, you could argue this was Frank Pollock's best year as an offensive line coach. Now you think about it, but with Peters,
Yeah, but I mean, I was just about to say you look at those picks though, like or those players. I mean, Amarius Mims, like yeah, but how much did he have to work with that guy? Because he came in. I mean, he might have been a little raw, but the athleticism was there. I had no issues with him coming in and being a starter right away. I mean, we thought coming into the year he might just take that job, or right off the bat. And then you look at the other 2 guys you mentioned; those are well-known veterans. I mean, they've got a lot of skins on the wall. So I don't really think a lot of that had to do with Frank Pollock, honestly.
You're right. You go back and think about it. Orlando Brown, we all knew he was a good tackle. We all knew he was a good, decent left tackle. Teddy Karras, I know he switched from guard and center, but Teddy Karras had the experience coming in. So I get what you're saying right there. Right? It's not like he had to coach these guys up all of a sudden they became great players in one night or anything. So I get what you're saying with that. No, that's a good point right there, Derek.
Yeah. And there's some other guys, but I want to do this while we're still going on the show. I don't know how well you guys can honestly see that's the problem.
I got new glasses, Dale. I'm good.
Well, I mean, everybody in the chat and everything. If we go through here, Senior Bowl official measurements came in. So some of the players we talk about as potential guard options will be on this list, but also just in general because the practices start tomorrow, but measurements today, and those are just as important. First guy, he's listed at tackle. I have him at tackle also out of North Dakota State. Don't know how comfortable you guys will feel going back to North Dakota State, but I think this is a guy who could slide into guard. You look at the arm length there, around 32 inches. Probably sliding into guard in the NFL, most likely because of that. 6'5", 316, Gray Zabel. I think maybe he goes top 50, but if he's there on like a day 3, I think he's a much better player than what Cordell Volson is. I had Cordell Volson with like a 6th-round grade. I got this kid with like a 3rd-round grade. So if we took him in the 3rd, I don't think this would be the reach that I felt like that was.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be okay with him. The one thing that struck me with the whole Volson pick was like, how much do you think that was the guys not being all like everybody thinking, okay, Jackson Carman's our guy, but more along the lines of, okay, we picked Jackson Carman because such and such wanted him, and we just need to get insurance here.
Yeah, maybe. Here's another guard, and I'll just kind of go through this list, and I'll stop more on the guards, the tackles. But if there's some defensive linemen we've already talked about, I'll probably mention them. I'll probably skip like running backs and stuff like that. Maybe guys that we've mentioned. But this is another guard. I think he's a day 3 guy. Originally was at Georgia and then went to Jacksonville State and graded out really well the last couple seasons for those guys. Clay Webb. So just maybe a day 3 guy to keep in mind for depth at guard. I don't think he comes in as a starter right away, but 6'3", 310. So not going to be the monster 6'5", but once again, I don't think you need that at guard personally.
No.
Right.
But he's a guard all the way. Now here, this isn't guard, but at least mention Deion Walker because we talked about him on Friday's show as a guy who could earn himself some money. He plays almost like an edge, but he's D tackle size and then some. 6'7", 340.
Ooh.
Over 34-inch arms. 84-inch wingspan. He's a big sumbitch. I wish he was a little meaner, a little nastier. His pad level needs some work. But I want to see what he can do this week. One-on-ones in the game, all of that, because Deion Walker can make himself some money. I wouldn't take him at 17, but maybe he does earn himself a first-round pick before all is said and done. Big boy. David Walker.
Yeah.
D-line, edge. As you see there, I mean, I always round up, so he's 6'1", 267. Maybe he can play inside a bit, but, I mean, probably not at that size. But he's explosive off the edge. But Central Arkansas, small school, so he needs to go out there and dominate. You need to see it against this level of competition, honestly.
Yeah, I've heard his name get brought up a little bit.
Here's another guy. Maybe he kicks in, but based on this size, I think he's a tackle.
Ooh.
Carson Benson out of Alabama A&M. Basically 6'7", 314, 35-inch arms.
Ooh.
Golly.
So
What round is he? What round is he in again?
I have him with the guards, and I got him around 6'7", but he's a guy who could earn money. I like to put those guys day 3, and then they got to show me something. You know what I mean?
Right.
When they get their chance against the Senior Bowl, because it's hard to judge them when they're playing guys that are going to be doing jobs that we do.
How much burst does he have?
I mean, he's fairly athletic, and I want to see what he tests like, but I just need to see the competition, honestly. Need to see him hold his own against this level of competition. It's been my biggest question. Princely Umanmielen, who maybe he's a fringe. I know not everybody loves him, but this is great size for him. 6'4", 264. A lot of people thought he was a little thin. 264 says otherwise for an edge, and that's something the Bengals like is their size.
No.
Go ahead, Greg.
No, Dale. When I was looking through your draft guide, he caught my attention because I know you personally kind of like now the downside. He's a 5th-year senior, right? Or 4th or 5th year? Or
yeah, he went to Florida before transferring this last 4 years at Florida and this year at Ole Miss. Had 10 and a half sacks, something like that this year. A very good D-line. Obviously, I like Walter Nolan, J.J. Pagot. They got another guy, too.
What is Princely going to be a first-round pick? Or
I think he could be. I think that's where he's going to end up on my board as the first-round guy. But I can see. I don't know if he's picked 17 first round or he's late first round.
So, but you will not see him in the second round, right?
Maybe not. I mean, probably not by pick 49. I feel comfortable saying I think he goes before pick 49 in the second. Right. But another guy could earn himself quite a bit of money here. Not going to spend too much time on some of these guys. Jalen Travis, offensive tackle, basically 6'8", 341. So he came in like 25 pounds more than what he was listed. So if he can still move pretty good, and he's not been a good run blocker, I think that height works against him. His pad level is very inconsistent. But
would you say
good
he
pass
came
blocker,
in like a wrecking
good feet, good size, good arm length. Day 3 tackle, swing tackle potential, so not completely ruling him out. Another guy with some great size, but not as long of arms is Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College, who turns out a lot of pretty good offensive linemen, honestly.
Yeah.
Basically 6'8", 321, but 33-inch arms, so a little smaller at that height. Ezra Thomas could be a first-round corner, 6'1", 191. Just a name to keep in mind. Mason Taylor, tight end, 6'5", 250. Chop loves him, so shout out for Chop and his love for LSU.
No Igbinosun because he wants to be a first round pick.
That's right. Also, Ellie De La Cruz is a potential MLB The Show 25 cover athlete's the rumor right now. Dorian Strong. Dorian Strong, another corner. He's 6'1", but the 179 is a little concerning, but he's a pretty damn good ball player.
Yeah.
Upton Stout's only 5'8", small school. He's your classic slot corner, and he will hit the piss out of people. Shamar Stewart, you guys know I'm not a fan of his production. I'm not a fan of his pass rush arsenal, but 6'5", 280 is going to get this man drafted in the first round. So let's see what he can do this week as a pass rusher. Josiah Stewart, man, you can love his tape. You can love how explosive he is. But at the end of the day, he's 6'1". 6'1" with 32-inch arms and 248. So he's probably going to a 3-4 defense. Let's see. Anybody else?
All right, hey, Dale.
There's your guy, Brashard Smith. Greg, he's only 5'9", 195 with 30-inch arms. Former wide receiver turned running back for SMU that I've talked
that's
about.
my Tyrone Tracy guy this year, right?
Yeah, he's much smaller, though.
Here. You haven't gotten to him yet. I want to talk about the kid from Oregon when you come up to him, the D lineman. But yeah, keep going with some of these other players.
There's Derek Harmon and there's Jordan Birch, and I don't know if either of them are.
Let me see. It's Caldwell. Caldwell.
Oh, Jamar. Yeah, Caldwell is on here. Yeah, he's a little bowling ball. He's got decent pass rush for a guy that's the size he is. I think he's like, I don't know. We'll see it when we get to it. Jonas Savanaia, another guy got listed at guard. He's actually below Donovan Jackson if we would have kept on our list. Basically 6'4", 339. I think he gets a shot to stick at tackle. He's played right tackle at Arizona. He's got almost 35-inch arms. There's no reason he shouldn't get a shot to play tackle first.
That name right there would be famous on the Bengals.
Hell yeah. Here's a D tackle that I could see the Bengals being interested in. Second round potentially. 6'4", 284, 33-inch arms. TJ Sanders. That's very good South Carolina D-line. I like him quite a bit. I like Restrepo, but he's 5'9", 200. Purely a slot receiver. I don't want the Bengals going slot that high, but I'll at least mention his name as we scroll through. Darian Porter is 6'2", 197, a long corner. I could see the Bengals liking this guy maybe in the second round. Because I will say that freshman that Notre Dame had was like 6'2", so we'll see what this kid tests like.
Right. Oh, we're coming up to one of my favorites right here. We're getting a lot of buzz from you and a lot of others too.
Yeah, I don't love that he's 6 foot, and I don't love the arms. They're sub 32. There's not a lot of guys. I believe Kalijah Cansey had sub 32-inch arms though.
Yeah, he's doing just fine.
But he's basically 290 at 6 foot. Oof. So he's got the strength. He's got the power. He's got the speed. He's got the leverage. I like him a lot, man. I'm not just because he's 6 foot. I'm not going to turn my back on this guy. I love the tape too much.
Geno Atkins, Dale.
Yeah, I didn't say he's Geno Atkins, but I said Geno.
I'll say he's Geno. I'm saying he's Geno Atkins. Don't steal it from me.
Oh, Greg said it first.
Yes.
RJ Oba, I'm not a huge fan of. Edge, he's like a 7th undrafted guy to me. But I know we got some Notre Dame fans like Will that watch. So 6'3", 255, I'll mention the name.
This one's he's getting a lot of hype right here. The Tennessee guy right here is getting a lot of hype.
Yeah, because you look at his pass rush win rate. Now, he rotated heavily on that Tennessee line. I wish he played more, but he still had about 5 sacks. 6'2", 295, over 33-inch arms, good wingspan. I like him. I think he does have trouble finishing tackles. His missed tackle rate is like 33 or something crazy. It's not good. But he's a hell of a pass rusher and a good developmental guy that if he fell to like the 3rd, some people like him late 1st, 2nd. But if he's there in the 3rd, I'd be all over it. If I want a guy in the 1st round, though, at D tackle, it's this guy. Walter Nolan, 6'3", 293, 33-inch arms. Yeah, I love Walter Nolan. Daniel Jeremiah mocked him to us at pick 17 the other day, and I love that pick because this kid's explosive. He's a great run defender. His best football is ahead of him. I believe he was a true junior, 2 years at Texas A&M, 1 at Ole Miss. Yeah, give me some Walter Nolan, and I'll be happy on draft day. Jalen Knowles about
Sounds to me
5'10",
like
200, but he's explosive.
give me some trade back in the first round. Pick up some more picks in the late day 2, maybe day 3.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of guys that I'm seeing like at pick 17 that I would be okay with.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Devin Neal, I bet this is a guy you'll like, Derek. Almost 5'11", 220. So he had better size, but he plays explosive. Kind of reminds me in that aspect that you wouldn't think he's 220 at all. Remember that kid from USC a couple years ago? I don't remember his name, but you liked him a lot. I think Devin Neal is a way better version than that kid, and that kid made himself some pretty decent money. Went to the Packers. I think he's been injured, but
Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I bet you'll like Devin Neal, and I think he's actually a better prospect than him. Jonah Monheim's played tackle, played center this year, could probably play guard too, 6'4", 307. Struggled a little bit at center to start with, but got better as the season progressed. Smal Munden's a linebacker a lot of people like. I know Divine talked about him, 6'2", 229. Damn good linebacker. If he was there, like, let's say 4th round, let's go. Wyatt Millam, I actually think, is a first-round guy. He could slide into guard because you see there the 32-inch arm length. He's 6'6", 315. One of the highest-rated PFF guys, pass blocking and run blocking, both this season for West Virginia. I like him a lot. I would always give this guy a shot at tackle if I was a team, but obviously if we would draft him, it wouldn't be. But he's a good player. I think he could go late first, early second round. Milroe, his measurables wasn't great. 6'1", 220, I can live with that.
Mm-hmm.
With the small, pretty small hands, Kenny Pickett hands.
All I know is this dude was built like a tank. That one video I seen of him doing some passing, he looked like a monster.
Yeah. And Membao, we've already talked about, but 6'4", 332, so came in big. 34-inch arms. You got to give him a shot to stick at tackle, I think, at that size, because his PFF grades were elite. His tape's elite. He's 20 years old. He's athletic as it gets. He's mean. He's nasty. He's everything that teams want. I'll be shocked if he doesn't go top 15 at this point.
Yeah.
Embo's another guy I could see kicking in a guard. He did hit 33, which could be a threshold for him to stick at tackle, and he was listed at 6'3", came in 6'4". So 6'4", 309. He may end up sticking at tackle, but if we brought him here, it's another guy. Maybe you bring him in as a guard, and he kicks out to one of your tackle spots later on. Damian Martinez. So, Greg, we talked a lot about him. He's 5'11". He's not 240. He was listed at 240-something. Maybe he's slimming down to run a nice 40 and be a little more explosive. But 226 is still a damn pretty big back. So he's almost 230, 5'11".
Yeah, who were the 3 bruisers you talk about? Him, the kid, there was the kid Brooks from Texas Tech, and that guy from Michigan, right?
Yeah, and Brooks is at the Shrine Bowl. I think his measurements was like 5'8", but was still like 231 pounds.
Okay.
So,
Jesus.
I mean, I just call him a bowling ball, you know?
Yeah.
Jaquavius Woody Marks, 5'10", 215, USC this year, I believe, Texas Tech before that. Hell of a pass catcher, but put up good production this year, running the ball for them as well.
Hey, I want to pause one quick second. Derek, I thought about you watched that Eagles game. That you were very high on Shipley, and he made some big plays on special teams. Yeah, I thought about you because you really were very campaigning for him heavily, Derek. So yeah, he made some.
Yeah, Will Shipley.
Yeah, Will Shipley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he looked really good. Man, I was just going to say that friggin' the games this weekend pissed me off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we kind of said it was head versus heart, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And I even said, I just didn't think that the Commanders could put up with that defense. And then Philly's offense, to put up 55 points in a championship
they were on
game.
Fire. Wow.
Golly.
Saquon, man. Saquon's great.
Yeah.
And I'll be rooting like hell for Saquon in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be rooting for like him too.
Man, I was pissed there for a minute because I watched him get those 2 quick touchdowns, And I'm like, you know what? And I put some money on him to score a third one. And then they do that freaking goal line stand where they just keep trying to go the tush push or brotherly shove, whatever they want to call it. And I'm like, just give it to Saquon.
Yeah,
And they finally
exactly.
did.
This is a guy here, a guard prospect. I got him as a 5th, 6th round guy, and that's a testament, right, to how good his tape is. He's like a fucking bulldog. I don't know how else to explain it. He is a hell of a blocker. He gives it his all. He's good as a run blocker, good as a pass blocker. But you look at the measurables, and it's the whole reason that I could never have him any higher than where I had him. 5'10", 270 as an offensive lineman. That's not ideal. He's played center. He's played guard the last couple years. He's played a ton of football. He's played over 5,000 snaps in college for North Carolina. I just like him. Like, if we took a flyer late day 3, I know he would be a crazy outlier, but it's just something about that kid that I just can't rule out. He always had. He was never going to be that big. He still was one of the better blockers in college football. So I don't know. At least shout him out whether he balls out in the future or not. Kennard's an edge rusher, 6'4", 248 on that South Carolina defense. That was pretty stacked. I got a 2nd round grade on him. Think he's a pretty good player. John Joyner, a little later round, 6'4", 263. This is a kid I talked about if Chop was on here. 6'5", basically 290. Savion Jones out of LSU. Versatility to move up and down the line. Not super explosive, but he's just a good, solid football player. He's later round, probably 5th, 6th, 7th round, somewhere in that range, but could earn himself some money this week. Emory Jones, I could see kicking in the guard. He's in the tackle rankings, almost 6'5", 312, over 34-inch arms, so that could keep him at tackle, but his PFF grades were not great this year. The tape's not great. He gets beat a lot. His hand placement's not the best. It's just something I wish he was better, right? It's just one of those guys that's like, he's got potential. He's got size. But there's just something that he don't have when it comes to getting on the football field and impressing me with his tape as a consistent blocker. So,
like a Deontay Smith or I'm trying to think of another guy we had that was just, I mean, he had the size and had everything you wanted. He just couldn't put it on tape.
Yeah. And it's because maybe he pans out, but right now I got him as a third round guy, and coming into the season, he was like top 20. Here's another guy that's hard for me because I don't know where to put him. 2nd through 4th round, like mid to late 2nd to 4th, 5th round, because he's 5'9", 156 pounds with 29-inch arms. But he's electric as it gets on the football field as a return man and a wide receiver. Tez Johnson from Oregon. That is tiny.
Who's that one player this year that was about the same height and weight? Rookie this year. I can't think of who it is now.
There's just so few guys. There's so few guys that make it at that size, and then when they do, they end up getting hurt a lot.
Mm-hmm. Ah, shit. Who did he play for? It's killing me.
I was gonna say, I remember that year we drafted Mario Alford. I was excited for Mario Alford.
Are you talking about Worthy that plays for the Chiefs? Tank Dell from another year from KP's trying to.
It might have been Worthy.
Worthy was definitely undersized, but he ran like the 4.2, broke the record of John Ross. Tez Johnson will need to run a crazy time.
What was CMC what was McCaffrey's brother's height and weight? I feel like he was kind of smaller too.
Yeah, I don't remember. Luke McCaffrey's his name.
Yeah. Anyway, I got to get off here. I got to go in here and get my kids, but
all right, buddy.
Well, I got to fill up with gas and then go get them. But
all right, we'll see you.
See
you, brother.
See you, bro.
All right, next guy I'm not a huge fan of. Some people got him as a 1st-round pick. I just don't see the consistent pass rush. I don't see the athleticism. But he's 6'5", 273, Landon Jackson from Arkansas. You go put on his tape against Alabama from last year, and you go, holy shit, this guy's got 3 sacks. He's a stud. And then I go watch multiple games this season, and I go, where's that guy? It's just not consistent. And, it's a guy I wish I could put my stamp on. Some people love him, but I just want a more explosive pass rusher, but he could easily go. And, he could be the Bengals pick at 17. I'm not going to love it if that happens, but
Right.
I'm not going to be shocked when it happens. Here's another big bitch. Cameron Jackson from Florida, interior D lineman, and I like his tape. I like it quite a bit. So he is 6'6", 339, 34-inch arms, and he can move.
What round do you have him in?
I've got him, I think, like 4th round.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just, I wish he was a little more consistent, but he could dominate this week. This is a guy that I think could dominate and really shoot up boards.
Well, no, if he has a good combine, could you see him going to like maybe the 3rd round or something? Or
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. He could shoot up big. If he's impressive this week, it's just he's got to be consistent. Those big guys, it's the durability. It's how much can you play him. But he's a stud, man. When he gets after it, and he's an all-effort guy too. You don't always see the effort from guys that size, but I see a hell of a lot of effort from this kid on his tape. So Cameron Jackson is definitely a name to keep in mind, and he could shoot up boards. So Jared Ivey's an edge, but obviously has some versatility, being almost 6'6", 283. So very good pass rusher as well for Ole Miss this year. So they got 2 guys, Princely and him, on the edge. And then they got Walter Nolan in the middle, and J.J. Pagot is pretty damn good himself. So that D-line was nasty. Kind of nasty work for Lane Kiffin, honestly, not to have that team in the playoffs. He cried about it, but guess what? You shouldn't have lost the games you lost, bud.
right, exactly.
Ingram Dawkins, I thought he'd go back another year. 6'4", 278. He should have went back another year, put on another 10 pounds, been a full-time D tackle, and played more. He's a day 3 guy, mid to late right now. Should have went back.
Oh, hey, another Toledo safety, Tyson Anderson.
Yeah, Maxon Hook. Jaden Higgins is a guy I like at wide receiver. Not saying I got a 2nd-round grade on him, but 6'4", 217. I mean, he's a good player. I think somebody's going to get a good player with him. I don't think it should be the Bengals. Seth Hennigan's a late round undrafted quarterback that no one talks enough about. Put up a shitload of stats for 4 seasons at Memphis. RJ Harvey, I really like his tape, but as you see there, sub 5'8", 207, 30-inch arms, but he's good. I could see him going 3rd round. Maxwell Hairston, this is a top 50 player. All Kentucky does is churn out cornerbacks lately that can play in the league right away, and he's the next one.
Who was that one guy who got drafted like Valentin a couple of years ago? He was a late high riser. How's he been playing in the NFL?
Yeah, they had a couple guys last year that were good too. So
yeah,
they just continue producing corners. They'll have another one. JQ Hardaway's the next guy for the next year.
I think everybody said to James, will definitely not be upset if we picked this guy.
Yeah, I wish he was a little bigger than 179, but still, you're basically 180, 5'11". He holds up well. He can tackle. He can make plays. He was injured this season for a little bit, but 5 interceptions in 2023. So Hairston's a damn good player. And a guy that I've talked a shitload about, Mike Green.
Oh, here we go.
The arms are under 33, but 6'3", 251. That was a good weight for him because 236 in the summer. He's put on 15 pounds, and you saw the way he moves. He still moves just fine.
Well, Dale, you know what, man? I was doing some rethinking. Like I say, you can't always judge by history. But if the way they value edge rusher, I could see a scenario they would take him over Grant and all that and stuff. I don't know, but I'll definitely not bitch if we get Mike Green.
Yeah, and we did a mock. We did a mock on the show Friday with Divine. We'll do some more mock drafts. We always do a ton of those things, but there's just a lot going on right now. We got coaching hires. We got Senior Bowl ramping up. So we'll definitely have plenty of time to do a bunch of mock drafts. Ollie Gordon, like I said, Doak Walker Award winner 2 years ago, down season, DUI over the summer, then a down season. It makes me have him as a 3rd-round guy instead of any higher. But there's still talent there. And why I wanted to mention him is 6'1", and he weighed in. He was listed at 210, weighed in at 233.
Oh, wow.
If he's still out there moving at 233, okay, you got my attention. If he's been putting in the work here, since his team ain't been playing in no playoff games, been putting in the work to look like a monster, and he shows that on the field, then he could really impress. And then Dylan Gabriel, 5'10", 200. I think he's just a day 3 quarterback. He's put up tons of stats. 6th-year kid in college, was great for Oregon, but that size is definitely something. And the offense they run is a lot of checkdowns. It's the whole reason I couldn't buy into Bo Nix. And then you see it in the NFL.
Yeah.
Bo Nix, a lot of checkdowns. He had a good season, but it's not a guy I put my personal stamp on.
Oh, Chopper right here.
Yeah, and I like Frazier. I got him like early day 3, so 4th round, probably 6'5", 324. Really good pass blocker. Could be a little nastier in the run game at that size, but definitely a name to keep in mind for a guard spot.
Ooh, a kicker.
Yep,
Hey, Florida
Fitzgerald.
State, man. Hey, Florida State does not have a bad history with kickers.
That's true. That's a good point. Ferguson's a tight end I like out of Oregon, 6'5", 245, so good size. Just a good, solid all-around tight end. Could do a little bit of everything, so could be somebody. I think Tay Felton's a second-round receiver. Had a highly productive season for Maryland. Felton, 6'4", 222. I'll mention that at receiver just because of that size. You could do worse on day 3 than getting a player like that. Farmer's a kid, not getting a lot of love, but I clipped up. Man, that arm length over 35. Damn,
Yeah,
that stands
that
out right
dude.
away. 6'3", 315. I think his best football's ahead of him. Thought he could go back to school for another year. Chose to declare. Another guy I've got around, that if he was there on early day 3, 4th round, I think you might end up getting a steal with a kid like this.
I mean, look at that guy. He not that tall, but man, you just look at him right there. He looks like he's trying to run through a brick wall, man.
Yeah, and I mean he's still almost 6'3", 314. So
yeah, I'm just saying, yeah.
Yeah, he's not bad. Fannin, everybody
There
loves
we go.
Fannin. 6'3", 238. So the size was fine because, that was the question. He had weighed in before around 230 to start the season. So he's put on some good weight and highly productive season, the most productive season for a tight end in college football history. So I like him. He just happens to be in the same class as Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland, who I also really like. So it's a hell of a top 3 that we've talked about at the tight end room. Ezerique's a guy I like. I couldn't help it anymore. I moved him into the top 2 rounds. You look at the arm length. The arm length is 34 and a half. He's got great length. He's only 6'2", but that is great arm length. And the weight is around 250. So 248, almost 250. And he had 16 and a half sacks this season for Boston College.
Holy crap. What round is he in?
I put him in the first. I couldn't. Some people have him in the 3rd. Some people have him in the 2nd. I said, fuck it. It's a player I'm putting my stamp on. I got first round grade on him.
You're okay. It's one thing at Marshall to put up like 17 sacks, but when you're in like Boston College, when you're in higher up, dude, that is awesome right there, man.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
Now,
And,
does he fit with the Bengals with draft?
I know. That's always the question, right?
Damn
I
it.
can't help that. When I do a whole
Damn it,
draft
I hate
I
that.
can't worry about what the Bengals do. I can only evaluate the players and how
I know,
see
but
them
it
and
just
what they can
pisses
be.
me off. Let's go take a chance on Scott.
Yeah. And maybe not at 17, right? But maybe he's still on the board at 49.
Dude,
And I got him where I would take him in the mid-20s.
Okay, Dale, say if we
And
took
he's there
Grant
at 49. Come
Say
on,
if we
let's
took-
take the chance.
Dale, if we took Grant in the first round, this dude's sitting there at 49, I'd say, boom. We got our trenches set. Well, not
Yeah,
you know,
Walter
we're rookies.
Nolan and Ezerique or Grant and Ezerique, you just crushed the first 2 rounds. Then I don't care if the next 2 rounds you pick 2 guards to ensure
Exactly.
one of them
Dude.
pan out. Best
exactly.
guy. You're
And
competing for
This
spots.
goes back to what you and I were talking about. 3rd and 4th rounds have been the gold mine for guards. So
Yep,
yeah,
Dominic Pooney, who we could have taken last year over Jermaine Burton. Trevor Etienne thought he should have went back to school another year. 5'8", 200, blah, 29 inch. Meh. I ain't buying the hype. He's not his brother. Ariante Ursary. A lot of people love this kid. He's almost 6'6", 339, 34-inch arms. He's a tackle all day. I don't see moving him into guard. Some people say, yeah, you can move him into guard. You could do a lot of things. But he's a tackle. He's a natural tackle. Good player, could work on his pad level, but I really like Ursary. He could be a potential first round, early second round guy. I don't know how many more guys there are. Donovan Edwards, he sucks. No offense, but he's just not very good. Garrett Dellinger is the other guard from LSU besides Miles. This kid's 6'4", 325, had great PFF grades this season. As a pass blocker, I think he was up around in the mid to high 80s. I could be wrong. I don't have the information directly in front of me, but I know it was damn good pass blocking grade for Garrett Dellinger. So definitely somebody on my radar for the Bengals. As I mentioned, 3rd, 4th round, like him, Miles kid. There's a bunch of guys in that 3rd, 4th round range. Hayden Connor from Texas, Luke Kandra from Cincinnati, Connor Colby from Iowa. You know, there's a Dylan Fairchild from Georgia. Tate Ratledge maybe falls to the third. I sit here and list you 10 names that I think would be good picks in the third and fourth round at guard. That's why I say go get me my D tackle and my edge in the first 2 rounds. Don't care which one. But then give me my guards.
Like Derek was saying, with the depth you have of what you need with DT and defensive end, you'd be stupid not to think about trading down.
Yeah. I have no issue with trading down to the mid-20s.
No,
once again, it depends who's on the board. Like, I love Walter Nolan. If he's there at 17, I stick to it at that point. But, you know, if I got 3 or 4 guys I like and Walter Nolan's off the board and Mike Green's off the board, and these were guys high on my personal board, I go, you know what? I got 4 or 5 guys still here I like. I'm going to trade down 5 spots. Josh Connerly, tackle, Oregon, 6'4", 313, 34-inch arms. He's probably a first-round pick, but I think he's more late first. I don't see top 15 buzz that he's getting. I like Castro at safety. He's played slot corner there at Iowa as well. Here's your guy, Caldwell, 6'2", 342. Look at that little chunkster, man.
Look at him.
I say it with complete love. He's another guy that transferred in. Him and the other
Harmon?
kid who's a first-round pick.
Harmon?
Yeah, Derek Harmon. They both transferred in this season to play the D tackle spots for Oregon. Had good seasons. This kid isn't near the pass rusher that Harmon is, but Harmon's projected to go first round. This kid's projected to go day 3. I'm intrigued by him for a day 3 guy. He can move at that size.
Wow. Punter.
Pat Bryant, 6'2", 208 is good. Logan Brown finally put it all together at Kansas at an O tackle, 6'6", 312. Brenningstool, that's a decent weight for him, but I've seen all kinds of different weights for him. So I was actually hoping he was closer to 245 because he's a hell of a pass catcher. But as you can see, 6'5", 234, and then the arm length is sub 33. So that's a bit concerning. I like Bowman, 5'10", 198. He's definitely going to move to safety. He's played safety corner at Oklahoma. This kid's big, but I just don't see the movement skills. He came in way bigger than I thought, almost 6'6", almost 340, 35-inch arms, Yaya Black. I just wish his tape was better, but he's been like a captain, a leader. I think he's another 6th-year guy even at Iowa. So I've got him as like, you know, maybe a 7th-round flyer kind of guy for the draft, but that size can play sometimes, you know, and that's definitely going to get people's attention. This is a guy that's got a lot of size too. Tackle Anthony Belton, 6'5", 345, almost 35-inch arms. I got this kid as a 3rd-round pick. Jack Besh, productive season. TCU went to LSU before transferring. 6'1", 214, could be a 3rd, 4th-round guy. I know nothing about Jacob Bear. I'll just be honest. The first I've heard that name was today. I don't know if there's very many more guys on here. You would think this is a long list. Elijah Arroyo. I know Divine likes him, 6'4", 251, so I'll mention him, tight end from Miami. Amos could be a 1st-round corner I really like. I like Darius Alexander, almost 6'4", 304, 34-inch arms out of Toledo. Kid's a stud, man. I got a 3rd-round grade on him. It won't surprise me if he earns himself more money than that. And that's it. We did it. We went through the measurables. It took us 3 hours, but we got it done, boys.
We got it done.
And no, we're not going to take a punter. We've got the man. We've got the Rico. Maybe a kicker.
Got Uncle Rico.
Better yet, a long snapper. Yeah, I mean, that's why we started this, and you could go back, BB. And we started this talking about the free agents. And there's a lot of free agents we like, so you guys can always check this back out on YouTube because I don't want to go through that list. But I went through 15 guys that I feel pretty good about the Bengals bringing in. At least 12 of those I feel good about. A few of them, be a little risky to come in as starters. But quite a few free agents. And I think you definitely got to bring in at least 1, if not 2 free agents at guard. And then also – I think you can find another starting caliber guard. You see it every year, a 3rd, 4th-round pick. You see teams do it every year. They can bring in talented guards. The Eagles are constantly taking top 75, top 90 guys on their line, and those guys panning out. Now they got probably the best O-line coach in the NFL, but still, We got Peters. We got Peters now.
We got Peter. We got some Peter on our. We got some Peter on our team.
But yeah, so went through a lot of stuff today. Went through the new coaching hires. Went through, our linemen. We went through projected free agents, and we went through some draft guys and some Senior Bowl measurables that came out. And Senior Bowl practices start tomorrow. The game's on Saturday. This Friday, we will be joined by Parker Blake, who is actually in Mobile, Alabama. So he will be attending all these practices. And then Friday, there is no practice. They get a day off before the game on Saturday. But Parker will be with us Friday to talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday practices that he will be live viewing, catching the buzz from around Mobile, Alabama, live on Bengals and Brews on Friday at 3:30. Should be awesome. Should have Parker on here. And maybe we'll get to a mock draft, but we're going to have a lot to talk about with Parker because that's going to be a lot of prospects like we went through there, a lot of stuff that he's watching over these 3 days to tell us about.
Absolutely.
And we will celebrate Peters.
Yes, we will. You definitely want to hear Parker's take on Peters also.
Yeah, we got to get Peter Parker Blake's take on our offensive line coach, Peters.
Exactly. And Parker was very happy with it too when I saw him.
Yes. So, yeah, we'll have to talk about the O-line coach because Parker coaches O-line himself, has played O-line, and definitely a lot of draft talk, though. So I'll just warn everybody, be a ton of draft talk. Going to be a ton of draft talk between now and probably a month after the draft. Just a lot of draft talk, a lot of free agency talk, a lot of fun stuff coming up. So make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you check out Midwest Best Barbecue. Make sure you check out the Chop Shop 513, and make sure you check out Greg's face. Look how pretty he is.
And make sure you save the date for March 15th.
That's that too. We will be doing a live show March 15th after free agency starts, live from Midwest Best Barbecue.
Best
Barbecue.
There you go.
It should be a great time.
It's going to be an awesome time, man. Like I say, it's rib weekend that weekend. So definitely get your appetite ready for that, bud.
Get your boneless Grippo wings. Let's go.
There you go, man.
Haven't even tried those yet. I'm excited. But thank you all for tuning in. Brew Crew, you're always the best. And we will catch you on Friday. Unless there's crazy news that happens, maybe a T extension, Jamar, something crazy happens this week, then we'll pop in and do a show. And you never know. Sometimes we just do shows anyways.
That one time out of the blue, we'll just be like, you feel like doing a show? I'm like, yeah, what the hell?
Let's do a show. Okay, let's do a show.
Exactly.
All right, man. Y'all the best.